This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Tunnell and Raysor.
Well, either you know what it is, or your kids or grandkids do. We're talking about the cloud. Basically, it's your digital footprint on the internet, a trail of where you've been, what you've done, and the photos you've taken. The cloud keeps both the good and the bad.
But what happens to a person's footprint once they die? All the website logins, email passwords, the list can go on and on. Currently, a law has passed in Delaware granting an executor access to a person's online accounts.
And that's a big deal because it's the first law of its kind in the nation. So joining us today to help clear up the cloud confusion is Kelly Gelof. She's the managing partner with the Tunnell and Raysor law firm in Sussex County. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so it's more than just telling people don't take inappropriate pictures because they're still gonna. So now, legally, where do they stand?
Legally, if they send that, if they've got it out there, then it's out there, and they don't really have a way of getting it back. I mean, once it's out there, and you're stuck with it.
Don't do it.
Is there any way to protect themselves?
The surefire way of protecting yourself is to just not do it, which is very difficult in this day and age. It really is, but unfortunately, things are not available to absolutely ironclad be able to protect you from things that you store on the cloud. They're just, it's a reality. You see and you hear about people being hacked all the time.
Right. So you're saying personal responsibility comes in here somewhere.
Right, it does, unfortunately. Until they figure out a way to guarantee that everything is going to be able to be protected, you just have to be very aware that someone can hack into it. You can be protected as far as setting your privacy settings,
right,
doing your best according to whichever kind of logins and all of that you have, protecting your passwords, those kinds of things. You can do your best, but the reality is, as you've seen even with credit card information, these companies that you think are going to be able to protect you,
right,
they get hacked. It happens. So that's unfortunate, but that's the reality.
Now, there are internet laws, but they seem to be hard to protect, or hard to enforce, I guess I should say. Why is that?
Well, it's very hard. As you know, every state has different laws on a variety of things. Certain states certainly have the same or similar laws, and there are federal laws that govern certain things in America. However, it is very difficult when you're dealing with the internet, things out there in the cloud, because that's worldwide. That's not just interstate, intrastate, it's worldwide. So you can see how that can be almost impossible to enforce the same law everywhere that will be talking about a particular photo that literally could be out there anywhere in the world.
Right. Well, there's been a lot of stories lately about celebrities having their photos stolen. There was one even said recently that her photo being stolen was a sex crime. Is it really?
As it stands right now, at least in Delaware, it is not considered a sex crime to steal the photo. I mean, there are these laws in effect that they can try to be pursued with regard to the hacking part of it.
Right.
But that's obviously a hot topic right now, and I'm sure that she and others are probably going to be on a mission to try to make some kind of valid law as it relates to it. As people have done very similarly with the photogs and their children, those kinds of things, you do have to have something happen to make someone go into action that may actually benefit a lot of people out there if they are able to make some changes with regard to laws.
Okay, so somebody underage takes a picture of themselves inappropriate, they send it to someone over the age of 18. Of the two, only the one over 18 gets in trouble for having the photo, is that right?
Depending on what state, again, what the law is, but that person, depending on what they do with it, they certainly could be getting into some kind of criminal trouble. Every situation is very different, but it's very similar to the person who is over 18 has to take responsibility for any kind of engagement, whatever level it may be, for minors. You are the one that has to take the responsibility if you're over 18.
Well, while we're talking legalities, let's talk about the groundbreaking laws that Delaware just recently passed.
With regard to the passwords and things as it relates to digital media, Delaware is, as you said, putting into effect, it actually goes into effect in January, the ability for personal representatives, for people who are incapacitated, trustees, executors and administrators of estates, they have now the ability to be able to access those passwords and those digital accounts, which many people have them, but in years past we've had difficulty being able to access them because the the wording was not such in wills that it specifically identified those.
Right.
Therefore, people were taking the position, or those companies were taking the position that with the death of this person or the incapacitation of this person, then it too dies and access to that dies, because in many different organizations and contracts that you have with them, you are not allowed to share your password.
Right.
Well, with that, it's not supposed to go with anyone else. So when you die, they were saying that that too died. That, as you can imagine, caused a very big problem.
Kelly Gelof, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to learn more about your privacy online and your right as a user, visit Tunnell and Raysor's website at wboc.com and click on our picture at the top of the page.
That's a lot of great information right there. Now, along with being careful with what you put out there, you also have to have a way to protect yourself with your device itself.
Here's how.
As photos of nude actresses hit the internet, stars are vowing legal action while others wonder how they can protect themselves.
The best theory is that some hackers, they just sort of use brute force, right? Like they just tried and tried and tried to hack individual usernames and passwords.
It's believed the compromising images were stolen from iCloud accounts. Apple's storage service boasts more than 320 million users, but they aren't required to enable the feature.
Your device will prompt you to set up iCloud. Before you just say yes to everything, think about whether or not you want to store your photos.
To make those adjustments on your device, go to Settings and choose iCloud. Dropbox, Google Drive, Box, Evernote, and OneDrive are a few of the other services that have become vital for both business and personal use, but users should still be thoughtful about what they upload to the cloud.
The second your information leaves your device and goes up to another computer in the cloud, there is a small possibility that it can be intercepted. Use best practices like two-factor authentication, which basically means that you have to have a physical device with a special code on it in order to get past the username and password settings.
If you find yourself in the same boat as Jennifer Lawrence and Rihanna, act immediately.
When you change your passwords, you change them to different passwords for all major services. And the most important one is your bank.
Plenty of hackers are hunting for more valuable information, access to your finances.
Wow, who would think you need 2 layers?
2 layers. Oh, things are changing. Well, something else that we want to protect is our home, and that starts with the roof. If yours is in bad shape, that could lead to a load of problems down the road. So up next, you're going to find out how you can win a brand spanking new roof.
And while we're at home, we're also heading to the kitchen. Today, we're whipping up a tasty butternut squash soup. Delmarva Life will be back in moments.